Hey everyone, it's Kirstin Nussgruber here from Kirstin'sCancerCare.com. Years ago, before I was diagnosed with my first cancer, I attended a conference here at the Omega Institute in New York, and what happened there transformed my life. I didn't know it at that time. It came back to me years later, but at that conference, a seed was sown in me that kind of blossomed the day that I was diagnosed with cancer. So what happened to me there? And I'm going to share something with you. It's going to be more of a personal session today because we're talking about emotional self-care today. This is what I talk about in module 5 of my First Steps program. And I'll chat to you a little bit about that later on because I have an awesome offer for you. Right now, though, I want to share with you what that means. It's a vulnerable place, right? Emotional self-care for all of us, myself included. And what happened to me at that conference was, it was new to me, this emotional self-care. I was doing my thing. I was a young mother, right? And I attended this this conference at this institute with a friend of mine, and they offered a group hypnotherapy session. Now that was the first time I heard about that, and I thought, what could happen? We were in a group. There were about 250 of us in this huge room together. It was a breakout session, and I thought, I'll go along. Let me see what this brings up. And it was held by Dr. Brian Weiss. And he proceeded to calm us down. He had given us a little explanation of what was going on, and you could see that some people kind of knew what was happening. You could see some people relaxing, some people were even lying on the ground, and I just sat in my chair thinking, all right, all I need to do is close my eyes, which is what I proceeded to do. And Dr. Weiss took us on this very calming talk, right, that calms you down. It totally relaxes you. Now you're totally conscious. You hear anything and everything that's going on, and you can open your eyes at any time. And I just sat there and I just let this kind of wash over me, because that's really what was happening when you're in this group together. Everyone is so quiet and everyone is calming down at the same time. It's an energetic vibration that is palpable. So what happened to me was that I relaxed, and then an image started popping up in my mind, and what that was basically just a white door in front of me, and I couldn't go through that door. It was the weirdest thing. I was sitting in my chair, I was fully conscious, I could hear everything that was going on around me, I could open my eyes if I wanted to, but I was so relaxed. I didn't want to. I wanted to stay in this little world of mine, and I couldn't go through that door. And then something else happened that was new to me. Tears started rolling down my face. I wasn't crying though. I knew it was different, and I didn't know where they were coming from, but it was just a release of tears coming down my face. And that, for me, was the start of a journey into emotional self-care and emotional healing that basically hasn't stopped. Now, I just left it at that. I was just absolutely amazed and a little bit stunned at this reaction, and just, relaxed into it. Years later, when I was diagnosed with cancer, do you remember what I was telling you about what kind of blocked me? It was this image of a door kind of surrounded by very bright light. And you probably think, was she going to pass away? Is this kind of a near-death experience? No, it wasn't like that at all. It was just kind of a door I couldn't get into. But when I was diagnosed with cancer, what popped up? There was some knowing coming through to me that said to me, now is the time to go through that door. You are ready. It was not a voice that was spoken to me. It was just kind of a knowing. It was a thought that came up within me. And I knew that I needed to do something. I needed to find some modality to now explore this. What did this mean for me? Besides, actually dealing with my cancer diagnosis. Now, emotional self-care it can't be measured, right? It's not like when you have a physical cancer diagnosis, a tumor, and you're going through treatment and you can build up on things, or you're changing your nutritional plan, or you understand that we suffer from stress, anxiety, we need to deal with that. Emotional self-care is a different place, a place of intense vulnerability, because you kind of need to open yourself up. And if you're thinking, I could not do that to some stranger, I hear you, because you know what this is all about. It's not necessarily doing that to a stranger, although that kind of relationship might develop, therapeutic relationship might develop with someone to help get you there. But in the essence, you need to connect with yourself. You need to allow yourself to get to that point where you kind of need to figure out, what is going on in my life at an emotional level? What have I suppressed, right? This is usually related to relationships in your life, or some event in your life, maybe a traumatic event. Maybe that event comes up for you immediately because it left such a memorable mark in your life. Maybe something happened to you as a child, maybe with your parents, maybe with a friend, maybe at school. Maybe it was really, really traumatic, like abuse or a severe accident or severe separation. But it also can be something completely nondescript, where you think, that could not be it. That could not throw me off emotionally to such a degree that it could potentially affect my health path. And the answer to that is yes, because we carry with us a burden. And any kind of emotional interaction that we have, or experiences that we have, carry with it an energetic weight. And think of it like this. It's like putting on a cloak around you, okay? I don't know if you're Harry Potter fans, but the invisibility cloak, right? That you put over yourself and you kind of disappear to the world around you. That's what we tend to do with emotional issues for us that we feel uncomfortable dealing with ourselves. And that's kind of the bottom line of the direction that I'm going here with this is, first and foremost, we need to understand that emotional issues affecting us are inside of us and need to be resolved with ourselves first. And I'll give you another story out of my own life, because it's important for me to share this, to show you a place of vulnerability, because that's a whole process that I needed to discover for myself as well. I had an excellent relationship with my mother growing up. She was a really great mom and really made it her point to be a very different mother to me than she had experienced in her own childhood. And she was born during World War II. So it was a very different time then, and also a very different parent-child relationship then. So my mother intentionally decided, I'm going to do that differently. I'm going to be there for her, and I'm going to support her as much as I possibly can. And that's what she did do. And I'm forever grateful for her for doing that, for raising me like that, raising me to be independent and to know that I can be vulnerable. But growing then into a young adult, the relationship changed. And I'm not going to go into the details of that now. You can actually read about that a little bit. I'll share a little bit more about that in my book, Confessions of a Cancer Conqueror. But the point is that the relationship had its rocky periods. And as I developed into my own adult and wanted to be seen as an adult, that caused friction, it caused tension, and it led to us having episodes where there was no contact and there was a lot of emotional pain through certain interactions. And in my attempts to rectify this, to kind of find a common ground, to kind of resolve this, it basically didn't end in a positive way. Almost, it was like I could not get to a point of view where we could kind of meet face to face or meet halfway to resolve an issue. So there was this lingering emotional tension there that we then basically kind of put behind us, right? But it was still there. And it would still periodically come up with me in forms of physical pain in my heart chakra. And I knew I needed to deal with that, not face to face with my mother, but for me, for my own sakes, right? For my own health. This was something that I needed to address, just me with me. And that led me onto this journey of, where do I begin? How do I start? How do I get rid of this emotional pain that is physical at times, depending on what came up? it can be physical. It's amazing how you kind of feel like you're on fire, how you kind of have a real physical pain. And people have said to me, clients have said to me, it sometimes feels like you're going to have a heart attack. And people often, confuse it with that, because when you have a physical painful sensation in your body, you think that something is wrong inside your body. On a side note, my cancer never was painful, by the way. But emotional pain, emotional agony can be like physical pain. So the one thing that I started doing, and that is of utmost importance for all of us dealing with this kind of emotional pain or issues that underlines every cancer or any other chronic illness for that matter as well, we have to start asking ourselves, what got us here? What are we trying to suppress? What makes us feel most uncomfortable? If we kind of give ourselves a life review, look at our lives and figure out which relationship or which event is something that I kind of always escape away from, I don't want to confront. That's where you need to focus your attention on exclusively. And then the next thing, before you do anything else, is get yourself to a point of forgiving yourself for being in that situation. Okay? That's the number one step that you need to do. You need to forgive yourself for whatever it was, whatever you did, whatever you said that got you into that situation. Or even if you feel guilty that if something was done to you and you were victimized by an incident or an event, and there is some guilt or some blame, self-blame on your behalf, thinking that something you did or said caused that, you need to forgive yourself for the fact that you felt that way. Because in order for us to be able to forgive others, because we have to do that too, because there's a cord attached to that event or to that person, and we need to forgive that person too, and that's a bit of a more of a difficult process, right? And that's where we need help from certain practitioners. But the first step is that we need to actually forgive ourselves. And in my journey of discovery and research, and I'm very, very inquisitive, and I've been like that all my life, I've come across a lot of really, really great books. These are just four of my most favorite ones that I have here. But this concept of healing emotionally as a form of therapy, as a form of medicine, is not new, right? It's been written about. One of my favorite books is by American author David Savant-Schreiber, who, this is actually a German book. I got this in German translation, but you can get this in English, called The New Medicine of Emotions. And it goes into that. It goes into how, emotional baggage, right, sits deep. It kind of sticks to us like glue. It sticks to our energy field like glue. And it is crucial and essential that we address that in our attempt to recover, to heal ourselves from our chronic diseases, including cancer. We have another book here that I love by an MD called One Mind, right? How our individual mind is part of a greater consciousness and why it matters. And it's the same thing. It's the mindfulness. I'm sure you experience that sometimes when you are meeting a new person and you either feel completely drawn to the stranger or completely repelled by the stranger, and this person hasn't done anything to you. You may not even have interacted. You may not even have spoken to each other. But there is that either instant attraction or not. It doesn't happen with everyone you meet, but just sometimes you have that feeling and you don't know, you ask yourself, where is that coming from? It's an emotional connection that we have. And in that instance, when we feel that, it's palpable. It's almost like a physical sensation that we're experiencing. So the point of this Facebook Live is just to outline for you how an area that is often overlooked, underutilized, and it's certainly not recognized by the conventional oncology and conventional cancer centers as being of equal importance in your cancer care healing regimen as your cancer treatment is. That's really how you need to see this. It has equal importance and needs to be equally addressed. And that is what I do in my First Steps program to take control of your cancer care. I have included that because to me, the first steps is about taking the first steps to recovery, to healing, to knowing where do I start on this lifelong journey that I'm going to be on, because cancer, I say that again all the time, is not an event where you have a beginning and an end. It is an ongoing process. You have gotten cancer because your body is speaking to you loud and clear, and you need to change something, lots of things maybe, or just a few things, but you can't continue the way you have. And that is for your environment. You need to look at that. You need to look at nutrition, and you need to look at other lifestyle habits of yours, plus your mindset and emotions deep down here, right? The fuzzy area, the thing that you're running away from, the one that you want to escape from, whatever hurts you the most, what almost gives you physical heart pain, that needs to be addressed as well. And the number one thing you can do is to simply tell yourself that you forgive yourself for being where you are at this point in your life. You haven't failed by getting cancer. None of us have failed. None of us cancer warriors have failed by getting cancer. We didn't do anything wrong. It's actually a sign that we can really transcend and we can transform our lives. And that's really the ultimate gift that we can get out of this diagnosis and use that to propel ourselves forward. So my First Steps program does that. It forms that basis, that foundational basis for you. And I'm going to put the link in the comment section now, and you can click on that and just get more information about that. But I really, really want to get that program into the hands of so many. And that is why I'm making it super, super affordable right now. I'm offering it at 60% off. It usually goes for $497. It's now $197 for a program that is self-doable. So you basically move yourself through the modules at your own pace, wherever you are. You can stop and start, you can do this. It's totally doable. It gives you action steps as well, a 21-day implementation plan, because it takes 21 days to change a habit. I have included that in the program because I want this to stick, and I want this to be a foundation for you that you can build your new life off of. And emotional self-care is part of that, right? It's one of my favorite modules actually in the entire program, because it is the most difficult one for many of us, myself included. But it transformed my life, and it transformed the way I see everything around me as well. So share this, please, with friends and family, whoever you can reach. We need to empower ourselves to understand that cancer is not out to get us. It is not our enemy. In fact, it is actually an opportunity to really, really emerge from this and transform our lives and to just reach a higher consciousness. And that makes us just, human beings, but more spiritual beings as well, totally aligned with ourselves. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to speak to you from a place of that. And I love sharing what I've learned and also what research says, books as well as research papers say on that. So once again, click on the link below. And if you have any comments, this is a live Facebook Live, but of course you might be seeing this past the live date. If you have any comments, please make them. Leave them in the comment section. I do go back and I check the comments on a regular basis, and I will get back to you, I promise. All right, so take care for now, and look at the link that I'm going to post just now. I only have 2 hands. I'm going to do that right away. And I would love to welcome you to the First Steps program and that little tribe that I form in a separate private group there as well, where you receive ongoing support and interaction from me as well as from everybody else in that program. So take care for now, and remember, forgive yourselves. Right now, start right now. The one thing you can do, forgive yourself for where you are at right now and move forward. All right? Take care for now.